Hi everyone. So I'm sort of trying to update my real world examples, share a few more before the IB exam. Um, so this one is about merit goods and it's about health insurance in the United States. Okay. I'm going to talk about the real world example. We're going to read the extract together, and then I'm going to be giving you suggestions over how you can use it. Okay, so let's just kind of read together. So most Americans' healthcare payments, okay, are either covered through private insurance plans from private insurance companies or publicly provided plans like Medicaid for the poor or Medicare for the elderly. However, unlike most developed countries, so other MEDCs, millions of Americans live without access to the merit good of healthcare. Those who are uninsured, they neither qualify for government provision nor can they afford to buy healthcare services in the market. By the end of 2018, nearly 14% of Americans lived without health insurance. That's a lot of Americans without health insurance. Therefore, without access to free or nearly free healthcare. A 2019 Harvard study estimates that nearly 45,000 Americans die each year because they don't have access to health insurance. Since healthcare has price inelastic demand, another key term, those without insurance are more willing to accept greater levels of indebtedness should they have a medical emergency. So a lot of people go into massive amounts of debt when they need access to like medical care when there's an emergency. According to a 2009 American Journal of Medicine study, 62% of personal bankruptcies, having a bill and you're not covered by insurance, a medical bill and you're not covered by insurance, can actually make you go bankrupt here in the US. We're linked to medical debt. In recent years, according to polls, 60% of the US population favors government responsibility for healthcare and universal health coverage for all Americans, such as what exists in all other MEDCs in all other developed countries. However, this is as yet far from being implemented. Critics, okay, those who are against universal coverage, they argue that increasing government intervention would reduce the quality of healthcare due to increased inefficiency because public services or services provided by the government are not driven by a profit motive. So there is this idea among sort of conservative and classical leaning economists that they tend to be more inefficient. Okay, so this real world example, you can use it for essays, many essays about merit goods and positive externalities of consumption. We know that healthcare and health insurance are both merit goods. Okay, they generate positive externalities of consumption, and the market failure is that there's often an under allocation of resources. As you can see here, there's an under allocation. There are millions of Americans that don't have access to healthcare or health insurance. You can also use it if you're writing an essay related to elasticity, talking about goods with inelastic demand. Healthcare and health insurance tend to have very inelastic demand. You can use it for talking about essays related to economic development when you're talking about barriers to economic development. So, one of the strategies to achieve development is the provision of merit goods like healthcare and health insurance. So, one way of achieving greater rates of development in an MEDC like the United States is to give more universal access to healthcare and health insurance. You can also talk about it where you can also use it in an essay where you're talking about direct provision as a form of government intervention. Medicaid provides health insurance for the poor, and Medicare provides Medicaid provides health insurance for the poor, and Medicare provides health insurance for the elderly. You can use it to also talk about economic inequality. Because of economic inequality, the massive gap between the rich and the poor in the US, millions of Americans cannot afford health care or health insurance. So these are all ideas where you can use this real world example. Now, obviously, you don't need to mention specific statistics that you've memorized. You don't need to do that. But just look at the story, see how you can apply that story in some of these topics if there are any questions related to any of these topics. Okay? Have a great rest of your day. Good luck in your IB exam, less than 2 weeks, and I'll be trying to post a little bit more content. Also, check out the video description below. Buy me a coffee. You can get access to a post that will help you review, and just keep supporting the channel. Become a member. Like, subscribe, share. These are simple things. Always you can support the channel. Bye.